Potentially controversial take, but Yukimoto era of Yu-Gi-Oh can be a little extra at times. From throwing cards like shuriken stars to dragon-shaped jets, this over-the-topness is part of the reason why this series is so fondly remembered. Even for those not too fond of anime in general, names like Yugi, Joey, Pegasus, and Kaiba are recognizable, and today I want to talk a little bit more about that last one, who is arguably the most eccentric and out there among all the characters throughout the various Yu-Gi-Oh shows. As this universe's rich playboy billionaire genius, the things that Kaiba pushes his passions towards is downright beautifully ridiculous, but none of it would be possible without his crown jewel, Kaiba Corp. Note that while a lot of the story of SETO Kaiba and his quote-unquote family plays a big role in the story of Kaiba Corp as a company, I wanted to focus more on the corporation side of the tale and leave the Kaiba and friends storyline for another day. We'll talk about some events because the two are intrinsically linked, but we won't dive too much more than necessary. The story of Kaiba Corp begins with a man named Gozaburo Kaiba, a highly intelligent, diligent, and imposing figure, with a stern nature which made him both a difficult man to deal with, but also a highly successful one. His brilliance was displayed when he was shown winning the World Chess Championship, while his business acumen was displayed with the success of his business Kaiba Corp, a notable name in the arms dealing world. While now more commonly known for its consumer products and services, Gozaburo's Kaiba Corp was better known for its machines of war, including tanks that he provided many military factions around the world. In fact, in episode 115, Gozaburo's own flesh and blood, Noah, who at that point had connected on a fundamental level with a supercomputer, predicted that with all the weapons at Kaiba Corp's disposal, 97% of the population could be instantly wiped out. While he did have an heir, an unfortunate accident caused Noah to no longer be a worthy prospect in Gozaburo's eyes, and he kept an eye out for suitable candidates to continue his legacy. During that time, however, Gozaburo did bring on the Big Five, a group of highly effective businessmen that complemented each other's strengths in various parts of business. It is important to note that while Gozaburo did bring them on board, these five as a collective really work more on their own benefit, and if they benefit from you succeeding, then they will help you succeed. That's the kind of calculated risk a person like Gozaburo who sees their upside is willing to take. No pain, no gain. While Gozaburo was sitting high up in the clouds, even he wanted to preserve his legacy, and so his interest was piqued when he met someone who seemed like a young carbon copy of himself. Orphaned at a young age, Seto was a brilliant child who was forced to grow up too fast in order to protect his younger brother Mokuba from the harsh realities of everyday life. When Gozaburo came to the orphanage that the two were staying at for some good PR, Kaiba saw in the businessman a lifeline to a better life for both him and Mokuba. While already smart, Seto made preparations to beat Gozaburo in his game of choice, and combined with some quick thinking, attacking the man's ego, forced the chess champion to accept defeat and adopt the two. Recognizing Seto's high innate potential, Gozaburo polished Seto, forcing him to improve himself to one day be worthy to take over Kaiba Corp. A grueling fate for any child, Seto would however rise up to this treatment, as Mokuba's well-being was his top priority. While Gozaburo was looking to create the perfect heir, what he failed to realize was that he was actually fostering his downfall. As Seto grew older, Gozaburo had him partake in more real-life business operations. Although effective, the lessons that Gozaburo taught Kaiba were hard and cold, and while we've seen flashes of Kaiba's good nature, the teachings of his adopted father inevitably seeped in, and Seto would grow to be a calculating and cold person. On one occasion, Gozaburo would provide Seto a sizable sum and tasked him with returning between 10 to 100 times the original amount within a year as a challenge and a test. Kaiba would do just that in a single day by buying a majority stake in a small company who cared for its personnel and forcing the owners to purchase the shares back at a premium under threat of closure. While Seto would never fully accept Gozaburo, the fingerprints of Gozaburo can be seen within Kaiba for years to come. Although it's true that Gozaburo lifted Kaiba and Mokuba from the depths of their orphanage, Seto never saw the man other than a means to an end, and while there could have maybe been a small part of him that would have felt grateful to Gozaburo, the adopted father's cold treatment of the two made that an impossibility. Having found out how powerful owning a majority stake in a company was, Seto set out to meet with the Big Five, who were feeling like second fiddles under Gozaburo. In exchange of them helping young Seto acquire 51% of Kaiba Corp, Seto promised them enhanced authorities. Altogether, they were only able to amass 49%, and their activity didn't escape Gozaburo's eyes either. However, thanks to a clever plan from the part of Seto and Mokuba, they were able to both fool their adopted father to calling a meeting forth, as well as obtain a decisive 2% that pushed them above the mark. Pushed out of his own company, Gozaburo would fade into obscurity in the dub, or take his own life in the sub, whatever you prefer, while Seto would work to reshape Kaiba Corp. Showing flashes of his adopted father, Seto would go on to walk back on his promises with the Big Five, which infuriated them. After discovering that the group was making backdoor deals with business competitor Maximilian Pegasus, Seto promptly booted them out of the company and assumed total control of the conglomerate. While Kaiba Corp used to be synonymous with arms dealing, Seto, who once had his childhood aspirations buried by Gozaburo, took the company on a wildly different trajectory and refocused it on the gaming industry. Technologies that were once planned by Gozaburo for military use were also repurposed for consumer entertainment, such as the holographic figures, a piece of tech that Seto originally developed for games before being bastardized by his father. While there were growing pains, once Kaiba Corp was able to secure the patent for the holographic projection technologies, they were off to the races. By far, the signature product of Kaiba Corp and the fruit of young Seto's dreams is the Dual Disc. A highly recognizable piece of equipment, the Dual Disc offered the capabilities of the large and cumbersome Dueling Arena, also developed by Kaiba Corp, in a portable and sleek package. Although slightly underpowered in comparison to the Dueling Arena, as we've seen duelists wire their Dual Disc to a Dual Arena podium to project larger and more vivid holograms, the ease at which two or more people can drop everything and play each other with their cards have made the Dual Disc the tool of choice. First seen in the 1999 movie with a simple round deck holder with holographic capabilities, as most don't include that movie in the canon of the Yu-Gi-Oh universe, many also don't count this variation as a real Dual Disc. Instead, the first commonly accepted Dual Disc was the one introduced in the Duelist Kingdom, which serves as the basis look-wise of the more classical Dual Disc, with a core piece attached to the arm with slots for your deck, your graveyard, and a field spell, as well as a display for your life points. The eccentric piece was when monsters had to be summoned, as the monster card had to be put onto another component to be thrown like a frisbee. The reason why this never caught on was of course because card game players don't like doing physical activities. That's a joke. The most classical and recognizable version used by our main character, Yugi, throughout most of the story is the Mark II, who offer an all-in-one solution for your deck, your graveyard, your field spells, your spells, traps, and monsters. Note that there is no space for your extra deck, so if you have a fusion monster, for example, in your deck list, I guess you just keep it in your pocket. Sporting the patriotic red, white, and blue color scheme, this model of Dual Disc ended up being the most popular, being mass-produced such that the average consumer can obtain one. In fact, even by the time 5Ds rolls around, a slightly modded version of the Mark II is used by Yusei Fudo. A Mark III exists thanks to the Dark Side of Dimensions movie, and this version went full Tron with no physical cards being present. This one mixes cloud technology with holographic technology to hold every card in existence, meaning that Kaiba Corp probably makes all their money through digital microtransactions. That's a joke, but let's be honest here, they probably would. While the Mark II is widely distributed, we've only seen the Mark III being used by Kaiba and his one-sided lover Yugi, so the Mark III remains largely a prototype or a display piece. As we don't see the Mark III in any other future series, we can only speculate that it never made it to public domain. We've seen many Dual Discs out there, and while some like the Academy Dual Disc and the GX area are probably Kaiba Corp products, others like the various Villains of the Week's Dual Discs are almost assuredly custom made using Kaiba Corp technology, like how you can take a car and add a busty anime girl on it. As one of his childhood dreams, Seto would see the opening of Kaiba Land, or should I say Kaiba Lands. In the Japanese dub, Kaiba Lands sounded like the colloquial term given to many different places, while the English dub made it sound like one location. In other words, in Japanese, Kaiba Land was like Disneyland, while in English, Kaiba Land was more like Disney World. However, we've had a Kaiba Land that looked like a building in the manga, another Kaiba Land looking like an actual amusement park in the Grand Championship arc, a slightly different looking Kaiba Land being shown in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and yet another Kaiba Land during the events of the Dark Side of Dimensions movie. So, the Japanese dub is probably right. Either way, a Kaiba Land was most prominently shown during the Grand Championship arc, where it seemed like a fully functioning theme park where families can come and enjoy their time. Throughout the various duels set in the various parts of the park, we saw a large number of attractions including Ferris wheels, merry-go-rounds, and jungle areas, but the highlight is definitely the Blue Eyes White Dragon themed indoor dueling arena called the KC Stadium. While Seto himself wouldn't ever really find true joy during his childhood, he sought to bring a smile to kids and succeeded with his Kaiba Lands. On the societal improvement side, Kaiba Corp is also responsible for Duel Academy, an institution designed to train aspiring duelists so that one day they too can join the Pro League. Now, the Pro League has never really been explained, and this may be fully speculation on my end, but considering the fact that SETO is interested in creating a pipeline to this professional card game playing league, and that he has financial stakes in products surrounding said card game, I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that he may also have a hand in the operations of this so-called Pro League. Again, this is pure speculation. I don't know. Don't come after me, Mr. Kaiba. And, just stating facts, correlation does not mean causation. In the English dub, for example, Blister said that Kaiba Corp offered him a contract to join the Pro League. But again, just speculation, just stating the facts. Duel Academy itself is probably worth a whole video, but let's just say that some of the structuring of the school is definitely influenced by some of his preferences, such as Obelisk Blue being the top dorm, when he was the one most closely linked to Obelisk the Tormentor in the Battle City arc, while his rival, who's best recognized with Slifer the Sky Dragon, is the representative of the lowest dorm. Again, just speculation, just stating facts. We all know that the rich and wealthy love space, and SETO Kaiba is no different. In the events of Dark Side of Dimensions, we saw that Kaiba Corp has a space station, and Kaiba is even interested in finding out if there is intelligent life out there, in order to teach them how to duel with card games. Although no longer a military arms dealer, some of the Kaiba Corp creations does toe that line, such as the Blue Eyes theme plane that SETO travels around in. Finally, while it never made it to market, the virtual world that housed SETO's greatest enemies is technically a working prototype, and should Kaiba Corp choose to continue with its development, can become another interesting piece of technology. And although it's hard to tell if any series after 5Ds is in the same timeline as the original Duel Monsters, Vrains did show a virtual world where people can duel, so do with that information as you will. For better or for worse, Kaiba Corp is in a monolith, and there are other prominent businesses out there, some of which even work closely with the company. Surprisingly, while a lot of Kaiba Corp's tech is designed for Yu-Gi-Oh cards, they don't actually make Yu-Gi-Oh cards. That privilege goes to Industrial Illusions, run by Maximilian Pegasus. The two companies share a very close relationship, as one's success complements the other. Kaiba Corp does, for example, receive advanced news of the game's upcoming expansions, and although they were on amicable terms, bonding on their passion for the game initially, a subsequent attempt by Pegasus to take control of Kaiba Corp through the schemes of the Big Five has made their relationship a lot more rocky, though business does seem to be as usual. In the Grand Championship arc, we get quickly introduced to one of the Kaiba Corp's business rivals, the Schroeder Corp, whose story is essentially a carbon copy of Kaiba Corp's, with a young genius at the helm who changed the family business's journey from a arms distributor to the gaming industry. In fact, a lot of their business decisions also seem to mimic each other, but usually a step behind, which would further reinforce their president Siegfried's inferiority complex towards Seto Kaiba. At various points, schemes will be made from the Shoulders group to take over Kaiba Corp, but to little success. Finally, the last company to note is Peridius, first introduced in the Waking the Dragons arc, which honestly serves more as a plot device than anything. It has no real world applications to note. The main antagonist in that arc, Darts, would use that company to perform some over-the-board deals to hide his more nefarious machinations. I think Kaiba Corp is a beautiful example of a rich man's plaything being able to use a company's vast resources to fulfill their most personal dreams. Some of the products logically don't make sense from a business standpoint, but the will of Seto Kaiba cannot be so easily deterred. And you know what? As far as global conglomerates go, at least their end goal is to both satisfy Seto's ego and bring joy to people, and on that level, I'm okay with it. Thank you very much for watching, my dear dummies. It's a new month and we're with a new series. Hope you guys enjoyed this overview of the premier conglomerate of Yu-Gi-Oh! Kaiba Corp. And if you had fun, please leave a like, subscribe, or comment, or any of the above actually. Have a nice one, dummies.